Hi girls, my name is Sarah Wyrick and I wanted to take just a minute to tell you a little bit about Jamberry Nails. I'm really excited to be doing this fundraiser with you, so I wanted to make sure that you had all the information that you needed for a successful sale. First of all, I'm going to tell you a couple things in our new catalog, plus I'm going to show you how to apply and remove Jamberry nails. Should be a piece of cake and I'm really looking forward to working with you. One of the first things that I wanted to point out is if you take a look at our new catalog, turn to page 5 and there's a page called Meet Our Wraps. And one thing that it does on that page is it actually will talk about the different finishes that we have. Now I sent you all some samples, so in just a second I'll show you how to apply those, but I want to kind of show you what cool things I sent. First we've got the black and white polka. The nice thing about this one, this is your regular glossy finish and it's a real classy and it should be your team colors. So that's a glossy finish. That's what is normal for our wraps. But then we also have one like this one called DeVille, the little Dalmatian pattern, is a matte finish. And so if you actually, kind of could touch that one compared to the glossy, it's a little bit softer. And it doesn't have that really shiny top coat. The shine you're seeing is coming from actually the plastic on the back. I also sent you a sparkle. This one, I totally just forgot what it was called. Charisma, maybe? Charisma, I think. I'll have to double check. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself in a second. And it's the black and white and silver, but you can see here the silver is a sparkle. Now we also have another kind called a luster, which is a sparkle like this, except it doesn't have that shiny glossy top coat. And that's a pretty cool one. Oh, actually I have a sample because I'm going to put those on today. So this is the this is the luster finish because it's still got the sparkle on the spiders, but it's that matte top coat. And I also sent you, some juniors. So this is about the size. These are for really, really small nails. You guys have 2 sheets, the other cherry one, and then there's a black and white stripe. So these have the glossy finish, but they're for smaller fingernails. And so if you've got really, really tiny nail beds, not necessarily short nails, but tiny nail beds, then you may want to look at the junior patterns. Okay? All right, so my dog got a little bit crazy, so I had to kind of stop recording for a second, but I'm back. It turns out I can correct myself. This isn't Charisma. This is called Disoriented, and apparently I was a little disoriented when I was telling you what it was called. So this is Disoriented, but we also have some wraps that are clear. So that's one of the other things. So you can see how you can see my little Halloween jack-o'-lantern faces. I'm totally going to put this over some orange nail polish, which I'll talk about later. And then this is a junior set. So sometimes grown-ups wear junior sets like this grown-up. So I'm going to be wearing some pumpkins as we get closer to Halloween. There's also a wrap called a satin finish and a metallic finish. So metallic is literally like shiny like a car. And then when it's the satin, it's got that same matte, flat, soft finish. And so I'll see if I can find some to show you, but I don't think I have any right this second. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about that really quick. Next, I'm going to do removal, and then I'll show you application, and then I'll talk a little bit about our nail lacquers. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I probably should take a quick second and tell you that our sheets are $15 each, and you can buy 3 wraps and get 1 sheet free. Alright, I've headed to my kitchen for wrap removal. So what I'm going to do is I'll just kind of talk you through the process and then I'll show you how I remove my wraps. Pretty much the materials you need are going to be just regular non-acetone nail polish remover. And personally, I like to keep it in the cap, and I'll just fill the cap about halfway full. You will need a cuticle pusher. This is like an orange stick. And in order to remove your wraps, what you're going to want to do is kind of loosen up one edge. So I've had a little teeny bubble there, so I can just kind of use my orange stick to kind of lift it a little bit. Then I will dip it into the nail polish remover for a second. And then I'll go back. I wear a base coat underneath my nail wraps, and I feel like that really helps a lot, especially with removal. So then I just kind of slide and peel. And then I'll dip it again. You just want to get the nail polish remover underneath the wrap so that it'll start to kind of melt away. Again, just kind of peeling off. I'm not using very much pressure. I'm just kind of sliding off as I go. It's pretty easy. Now, since this was a sparkle or a luster, there's a little bit of that sticky polish or the sticky sparkle layer still on my fingernails, but you see it pretty much comes right off. But anyway, what I like to do is I'll dip it one more time, and then I'll just take my fingernail backwards across the paper towel, and then my wrap is off nice and clean. You also can use oil and those little teeth flossers. And so if you prefer to use like olive oil or coconut oil, you can soak your nails in that and then just kind of remove them and peel them the same way. You just don't want to reapply your new wraps immediately because there's still a lot of oils that kind of gets trapped on your nails. But I'll talk about nail prep in just a second. Now that my wraps are removed, I need to make sure that my nails are prepared for the new wraps to go on. So nail prep is pretty easy, but you will need a cuticle pusher. You also can use an orange stick, a nail file or a nail clipper if you need to trim your nails, and an alcohol wipe. But if you don't want to use an alcohol wipe, you also can use vinegar. Vinegar does a good job. So the first thing you want to do is you want to actually push your cuticles back using the cuticle pusher. I like this rubber one because it's a little bit more gentle on my fingers. And you want to watch the sides especially. You want to make sure that there's nothing called invisible cuticle. You also want to make sure that your hands are clean and dry before you put your nail wraps on. So you're going to go through and you're going to push all of your cuticles back. Even if you're doing this on your toes, you're going to push your cuticles back in the exact same way. Now, if you know that you have a lot of cuticle that you don't really have a lot of luck getting off, we do have a product that's called the Jamberry cuticle remover. And so it's this cute little brush that you can wipe on your cuticles, let it sit for about 30 seconds, and then come back with your cuticle pusher and you can actually just scrape that cuticle right off. And that's a really nice product. It's actually one of my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and finish preparing my nails. Once I push back all of my cuticles and I filed my nails to the shape that I want for them to be, I'll do that in just a second. Then you take your alcohol wipe and all you do is you're just going to go over your nail just to remove any excess oils from the surface of your nail. And so once it's prepped and ready to go, we're ready to apply wraps. Now you want to try and not touch your nails once you've done the alcohol wipe because that will kind of help keep them from getting any oils or dirts on the surface of the nail before we apply the wrap. All right, let me jump back to the catalog for a quick second. So I told you that I would refer to it every now and then. So I want to show you page 42 and 43. So on page 42 and 43, it talks about our nail lacquer. One of the really cool things about our nail lacquer is it's called 5 free, which means it actually is missing 5 of the nastiest chemicals that are in a lot of different nail polishes. And so in just a few minutes, I'm actually going to use this color. See if I can. Is called Royal. I'm going to layer a clear spider web on top of it. But I always put on my base coat first. I really like this strengthening base coat. It's nice and clear. My nails have some damage from a long time ago. I got a little exuberant taking off some wraps. If you kind of just rip them off, sometimes your skin or your fingernail will flake a little bit, and that happened to me. So I have a little bit of like flaky at the bottom. So I use a strengthening base coat and I find that really helps and it makes the wraps come off a lot easier and it keeps my nails nice and safe. So we do sell this base coat as well. There's another kind of base coat, there's top coats, there's glitter coats, there's all sorts of fun things. But then Royal is my new favorite nail polish. So we'll see how this pretty looks in just a couple minutes. But anyway, you can find all the information about our nail lacquers on page 42 and 43 of the catalog. Plus, if you buy 4 of the nail polishes together, you actually get a 10% discount. So you can actually get 4 colors and it ends up being $54 instead of $60. So you save a couple dollars, you know, if you wanted to buddy up with some friends and share some nail polish. So just thought about that. So once you've decided which wrap you want to apply, the next thing you have to do is to size them. So they're on a clear background, and so what you can do is you actually can hold the little wrap up to your nail, and you want to pick one that's a little bit smaller than your actual nail bed. And I happen to know that this second one in is just slightly smaller than my pointer fingernail. So that's the one that I'm going to go ahead and apply for you today. Once you've decided which size wraps you're going to need for each of your fingers, and you guys are just going to do one accent nail, I think, this time. Let me tell you what tools you're going to need to apply that accent nail. So I have my scissors, my little tiny scissors. I have an orange stick, which I can use to help lift the wrap off of the sheet. I have my cute rubber cuticle pusher. The nice thing about this is the rubber tip I can use to apply firm pressure. I have my Jamberry mini heater, but I think you guys are going to use hair dryers. Hair dryers work fine. You just need to warm the wrap up first. And I also have my Jamberry nail file, any nail file will work, and that's just an easy way. You also can use fingernail clippers to help trim the excess wrap off the edge, and so I'll show you how that works in just a second. Alright, so I have my heater on. I'm going to go ahead and use my purple cuticle pusher, and I'm going to peel up the edge of my wrap. And once I peel up the edge of my wrap, I'm going to kind of grab it underneath, and you actually can use the orange stick for this also. So I'm going to kind of grab underneath, and once I've done that, I'm going to take, sorry, I like this better. I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to trim this wrap in half. So I have half of my nail wrap. Okay, so just half of it is on the end of my cuticle stick. Then I'm going to gently warm it up in front of my heater, and I just want to wait until it kind of bends just a tiny bit. So once I see it heat up, see how it starts to curl a little bit? That lets me know that it's warm enough. And then very, very gently, I am going to place it on my fingernail. I don't know if I can do this so you can see. I'm going to place it right on my fingernail, and I just slowly lower it down. So I wait so mine aren't totally attached, but they're kind of centered. That way I can reposition if I need to. And then I'm going to heat it up again. Then I come back with my cuticle pusher, make sure it's in the right direction. Alright, so then I'm just going to use my cuticle pusher, and I'm just going to apply a nice pressure all over the nail. So I want to make sure it's laying nice and flat. And once I've got it so I think it's pretty well pushed down, I'm actually going to heat it up again, just until it gets a little bit warm over the edges. And then I take the end with my fingers once it's nice and warm, and I'll pull. So I'm going to heat and pull. This helps to kind of seal the edge. So I heat and I give it a little pull, has a little bit of stretch, and then I let it cool. So in just a couple seconds, we'll flash forward, I'll do the other side. I'm going to let this nail cool, and then I'll show you how I go ahead and file it off. Now that I've done a couple and I've let them cool, I want to come back to my index finger and show you how to remove them. What I like, or how to remove the excess, because I've left it kind of long. It's long and floppy. So what I like to do is I like to take my nail file, and I will just file at a 90-degree angle, straight down, long, simple strokes, and I go all around the edge of my nail. So ultimately I'm filing down to my actual nail edge, and you can hear when it hits your nail, it sounds a little bit different. But you don't want to, and then I just kind of will pull, and the nail wrap comes right off. Then I'll take my file again, and I'll go back over the edges just to make sure they're nice and smooth, and I don't have any bumps. You don't want to go side to side though, because if you go side to side, then you may end up kind of pulling that nail wrap. So then this one's now completely finished, and I'm going to finish my little Halloween nail wraps right about now. Alright, so there's my little spider. I'll show you what they look like when they're all finished. Alright, well here's my finished product, my final Jamacure or Jamberry manicure. This wraps up our video. If you've got any questions, let me know. Good luck!